HarperCollins presents, entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York, by Andrew Lownie. Read by Andrew Lownie. Introduction. Many would have preferred this book not to have been written, including the Yorks themselves. I originally approached them with a view to letting them help shape the narrative by encouraging their friends and associates to talk to me, but they decided not to cooperate. At the same time, they told their contacts not to talk to me, and threatening legal letters were sent to my publishers even before publication, saying the Duchess was monitoring my social media. For years, a curated narrative about the couple has been created, policed by armies of lawyers and PR people, and shaped by a symbiotic relationship with the press. The couple's staff have been forced to sign non-disclosure agreements, and the exemptions in the Freedom of Information Act and the convention that parliamentary questions are not asked about members of the royal family have further shielded them from any proper scrutiny. The Foreign Office told ambassadors not to talk to me, and for 4 years the Information Rights Department of the Foreign Office and the Freedom of Information section of the Department for Business and Trade deployed every exemption they could to prevent release of documents relating to Prince Andrew's time as Special Representative for Trade and Investment, even though he was a taxpayer-funded civil servant. Some 3,000 people were approached researching this book. Fewer than a tenth replied. It is understandable that from loyalty or deference to the Crown, many should do so, and so I'm grateful to those who did talk to me, many of whom had never spoken before. Those almost 300 people included childhood friends, schoolmates, work colleagues, former staff, in spite of the NDAs, diplomats, charity workers, business associates, journalists who investigated the Yorks but were not allowed to publish their findings, friends, and people who had encountered them in daily life. My information came not only from a long list of interviews, some on the record but many not, identified using social media, electoral rolls, LinkedIn, and Who's Who, as well as over 60 years of media coverage, comments to newspapers, and closed Royal and Navy forums. I was also able, having gone to court, to secure closed files from the National Archives, as well as consult private diaries and letters. The result is entitled The Rise and Fall of the House of York, of how a popular couple fell from grace because of the flaws in their own characters, and how they were allowed to leverage their privileged position as royals for personal gain, with the connivance of the institution itself. It is a tale of childhood trauma, infidelity, lust, betrayal, corruption, greed, extravagance, arrogance, entitlement, establishment cover-up, and hubris. Both a black comedy and a tragedy, it shows how a man born into a prominent family with responsibilities as well as privileges found himself unable to fulfill the basic requirements of an ancient role, and how the jolly young woman who married him succumbed to every possible temptation on offer. It is a story as old as time, but played out in our time. The charismatic and handsome Prince Andrew, who returned from the Falklands in 1982 a war hero, is now in his mid-60s, a prisoner in his own house, a scorned figure relieved of royal duties, who spends his days playing golf and watching television. The book looks at how he exploited his public position as a taxpayer-funded special representative for trade and investment to develop his own business activities, and those of his ex-wife and 2 daughters, and it reveals fresh information about his connections, and those of Sarah Ferguson, with the paedophile and financier Jeffrey Epstein, which began earlier, lasted longer, and were more extensive than has hitherto been realized. The book also covers his dealings with Donald Trump, Bill Clinton, and Mark Thatcher. Sarah Ferguson's story is equally complex, marked by ambition, financial recklessness, and a tumultuous relationship with the media and constant reinvention. She was initially seen as a breath of fresh air, but her exploitation of her royal status has seen her join her ex-husband as a hugely diminished figure. Ferguson, from whom he
Sample complete. Ready to continue?